They are no doubt they are mandatory, but there is a provision at a state level. They can modify the grades or the different levels of this your ECBC code. So Mahaurja is planning this ECBC code into 5 stages. Number one, Mahaurja 1 star. This is ECBC compliant building as per ECBC, because ECBC has a 3 codes. Mahaurja 2, this is also as per the ECBC second. Mahaurja 3 is super ECBC as per the ECBC code. In addition, Government of India through this your Mahaurja, they have developed another 2 stars for the commercial building. So star 4 is, it is more than 10 to 20% reduction in EPI ratio than super ECBC, and fifth one is more than 20%. So our code developed at Maharashtra are better than the code developed at the central level, and this choice was given to all the state levels. Accordingly, they can develop, they can produce the codes. So this is in draft. It is not at the finalized. It is a voluntary type of the code. This is energy conservation building code for the residential building. So the buildings which are more than on the carpet area more than the 500 square meter, they come under this code actually. So for that also they are given different guidelines. Now we'll come to the our main topic of this STTP, that is energy conservation and audit. Now there are different definition of the energy management as well as the energy audit, but I am taking the reference of the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, the guidelines handbooks published by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So the definition of this your energy management is the judicious and effective use of energy to maximize profit or minimize the cost of the product and enhance the product at the competitive positions. Because if you compare any industry or any commercial enterprises, there are 3 major components of that to fix that cost. One is the raw material, second one is the resource, human resource or the labor, and third one is the energy. And out of this your 3, energy has the major potential to conserve the electricity, conserve the energy, because you don't have control on this your raw material, we don't have control on the labors required for that period. So only the important thing where we can focus more, so that is the energy. So energy can be conserved, and by that we can maximize profit of that particular product by reducing the cost of that particular product. So this is about the main definition of the energy management. And definition of the energy audit, this is again as per the EC Act. Energy audit is defined as the verification, monitoring and analysis of use of energy. These 3 words are very, very important. We need to verify, we need to monitor, we need to analyze the use of energy at that particular sector, including submission of technical report containing recommendation for improving energy efficiency with the cost benefit analysis and an action plan to reduce energy consumption. There are different definitions of the energy audit you will find on the different books. So this is the definitions which we are referring as far as the energy audit is concerned, because it is given in the handbooks of the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, where while doing auditing we need to verify, we need to monitor, we need to analyze use of energy, that is different types of energy used in the particular industry, and finally we have to submit a technical report by studying all this consumption pattern of this your energy, and we need to recommend how to reduce, how to conserve the electricity. So that is very, very important, as well as other form of the energy. And finally, once we submit that report, we have to provide them an action plan for the implementations. Till the implementation, that energy auditor has to work starting to the end. So this is about the definition of the energy audit. Now again, energy audit is classified into 3 parts. So first one is the preliminary energy audit, or it is also called as a walkthrough audit. Second one is the targeted energy audit, and third one is the detailed energy audit. Now this preliminary or walkthrough energy audit is relatively very quick exercise. The scope is very, very limited. Under this your preliminary energy audit, we need to establish energy consumption in the organization. So that organization is, all organizations are utilizing or using electricity is one part, one energy, and in addition they might be using oil, they might be using the bagasse or other kind of the fuel, thermal, for the thermal applications. So for that, all the data that we need to gather, that scope come under this your walkthrough. So for that we ask them to provide at least 1 year energy bills, that is electricity bills provided by that MSD, or we call it as a Mahavitran. And second, we collect the invoices on which they have purchased all these types of the fuels, and we do the analysis of this. So this is first scope for this preliminary. Second is, on the basis of this your energy bills as well as invoice, we can estimate the scope for saving. So with the help of this your billing, we'll come to know that we'll get idea how much is the potential for the saving of this your energy. Now next is, once we get the scope idea about the how much potential for the saving, second one is identify the most likely and the easiest area for attention. So how we can conserve the electricity? The major focus on the energy conservation is to reduce the wastage, and second one is to arrest the leakages. So to reduce the wastage means wherever it is not required, there we ask them to reduce the use of that type of the electricity, that is unnecessarily use of the lightings. Even for the air conditioner, now even government of India through the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, they have recommended, or it is mandatory provision to the manufacturers, they have to set the temperature default as a 24 degrees Celsius. And if you use the comfort condition or the temperature above 24, every 1 degree rise in the temperature of the air conditioner will give 1% of the energy conservation, 1% of the energy conservation. So suppose if you set up the temperature of the air conditioner up to 27 degrees Celsius, 28 degrees Celsius, and if required, you can use the fan also. By that also, by these simple techniques, you can reduce, you can conserve the electricity or the energy. In most of the places, that compressed air is being misused for the other application, cleaning application. So so many other areas where without any investment, without doing anything, we can reduce or we can conserve the electricity. So that type of the areas that we need to identify, and accordingly we should instruct to the companies. Now next one is identify immediate, especially no low cost improvements and saving. If there is some improvements are there, because once we get all this audit or the analysis, we divide it into three parts: low cost, medium cost, and high cost. And all these low cost measures that we are recommending them to do for the immediate saving of the energy conservation. Now next one is set baseline or reference point for energy consumption. So this is the scope of the energy audit, which come under walkthrough or the preliminary type, and identify areas for more detailed study or the measurements. On that we'll get idea, and that accordingly we instruct to that companies. Now next is the targeted energy audit. Whenever we do the preliminary or energy audit, there we found, because preliminary audit we never take any measurements, only it is based on the available data or the inventory at that particular company. But on the basis of that inventory or the walkthrough data, we will get idea that there are some equipment, there are some areas where we need to go for the further evaluation, further analysis. For example, if it is a jewelry shop, so major consumption in the jewelry shop is because of the lighting system and HVAC system. So we can ask them to go for only the targeted energy audit for the lighting system or the HVAC system. In some of the small industries where the boilers or the furnaces are used, we can ask them to do only audit for the boiler, and we can recommend them the energy conservation measures somewhere the compressed area is there. So whenever that industry or the people don't want to go for the detailed audit, but they don't want to stop only to the walkthrough, so this is the midway. With that targeted, they can do energy audit, and by that they can conserve the electricity. So this is the targeted energy audit, second type. And third type is the detailed energy audit methodology. So this is divided into three parts. So first one is before starting actually audit in the industry. Second one is the actual part, audit part, whenever we are in the industry. And third one is the post audit. So this Bureau of Energy Efficiency has recommended 10-step methodology to do the energy audit. It doesn't mean that 100% we should follow this, but in most of the applications, this is the best way of doing the energy audit for the different sectors. So first step is, this is under the pre-audit. First step, that is step one, is plan of action. For this particular step is plan and organize walkthrough audit. and informal interview with energy manager, production, plant manager. Because if you go to any industry, this energy related area, it is being given to either energy person professional, or it is being handled by the production or the plant manager. So accordingly, we should take interviews. This is the main plan of action for the stage one. And under this your stage one, or the purpose of the stage one is to establish, organize an energy audit team. Then we need to create awareness about this your energy audit, and on that basis we can ask them to create one team, so that we can guide that team, so that what is used, how to do audit, all these things can be discussed with the energy audit team. And next one is organize instruments and time frame. So whenever we go, we think about that particular industry, there will come to know that what are the different instruments that are being used in that particular industry. With that instrumentation, that log, that data can be used for the analysis of our energy audit. In addition, we have to prepare our instruments for the actual data collections, data readings, verifications. So that planning has to be done, and what time frame should be required to do that energy audit, it is being done in the step one. Now macro data collections. So for that particular type of industry, all the data related to the production, related to the process, related to the all the types of the energy, that data we need to collect as a macro level data. So that is done under this. And next one is the familiarization with process and plant activity. Because every industry, that process, that methodology is entirely different. So we need to understand their process, that is how the raw material comes, how the up to what are the different processes when it gets converted raw to the finished product. Or we need to understand that industry, and where that energy is being used, what types of the energies are being used. And once we understood that process, then we can start the thinking how to conserve the electricity or the energy. And next one is first hand observation and assessment of current level of operation and the practices. That is important. Now next step is introductory meeting. All divisional heads and persons concerned with energy management, that we need to interact with these people with some agenda, that is 1 to 2 hours. About this is everything is focused towards the energy audit or energy conservation. Now purpose of this is to build up cooperation and rapport. So that cooperation as a rapport between the industry persons as well as energy team is very important. Otherwise we won't get the cooperation from that industry. Orientation, awareness, we must create the awareness among all these your stakeholders, the benefit of this your energy audit, how it is beneficial to them, how the cost of the product will get reduced, or how uh, they will get more profit. And issue questionnaire tailored for each department, because each department, each industries are totally different. As per our requirement, we have to prepare questionnaire that is tailor made, means as per the requirement of that particular industry, and that we need to issue to that concerned department to grab the data or to fetch the data from that departments. So this is about, just I'm adding some in between slides, in between the procedure, 10-step procedure, so that simultaneously we'll study the use of the instrument, the processes and types, so that uh, the flow will maintain. So just second session was by the Datar sir, and he has very nicely discuss about all the types of instruments, what care, what precautions, the calibration method, where to connect, all the everything has been discussed by the Datar sir. Just I will brief, these are some of the instruments which are most frequently used for the number of the industries. So this is one, the power analyzer, which he has discussed, and this power analyzer will give you idea about all the types of the parameters of the electricity, kVA, kW, kWh, power factor, voltage at three terminals, three phases, current at three phases, harmonics. So many things we'll get from this your power analyzer. Only thing is that properly we need to connect this power analyzer at that particular location, and the duration is also very important. So second one is, this is the anemometer, which is used to measure the velocity of the air. It is generally used for the HVAC and most of the other blower kind of the applications. So this is what the ultrasonic flow meter, which we need to use to measure the fluid or the water as well as other types of the fluids. So this temperature gum has become very popular because of this pandemic. It will give the temperature at a point. This is the hygrometer which we use for the to do audit at the particular targeted for the HVAC systems, where we'll get the relative humidity, temp, DBT, and other types of the parameters which requires by the hygrometer. And this is another is the thermal image. This is the point and this is the surface, or it will give the planar information about the image, thermal image. And this is the flue gas analyzer which we use to do the audit of the furnace as well as boiler. So once we fit the probe in the chimney of the boiler or the furnace, where we'll get the all the composition which are present in the flue gases, and on that basis we can calculate indirect efficiency of the boiler, furnace, or wherever the combustion is being done. So these are some of the instruments which we need and we have purchased at our institute to the energy audit of the different sectors. Now next one is the phase 3. Now here phase 3, the primary data gathering, process flow diagram, and energy utility diagram. So here this data is very important, and this is the second phase during audit. Whenever team enters into that industry or that your commercial building, here we need to start gathering the data, at the same time the measurement of the all the readings, measurement of the consumption pattern. So here the historic data collection and analysis of for setting up baseline energy consumption, because here generally we expect that we need the consumption pattern or the electric bill for the 3 years, all the invoices for the 3 years, so that we'll get the consumption pattern of that industry throughout the year, when the consumption is more, when the consumption is less, how, on what parameter that depends, whether it depends on the production or the market situation, that everything we need to understand. So for that we collect all this your data. All services utilities system diagram, this single line diagram is very important. We ask them to submit the single SLD for the electricity, single line diagram for the steam, single line diagram for the water, single line diagram for the air. So once we get all this your diagram, this is very much essential for the heat balance as well as a mass balance. Whenever we want to do all this your calculations, so here we'll come to know that how much is being generated as, for example, steam, and where that steam goes. In order to balance steam balance, we need this data or all this your utility diagram. If such diagrams are not available, then we try to draw that diagram in the with the help of that all this your officers or the personnel, so that we'll come to know that how much is generated and where it goes, and how to know that is a wastage from that particular application. Now next one is the prepare process flow diagram. That is also very important, where the raw material comes, or from where steam comes, or the water goes to the boiler, from the boiler steam comes, steam goes to one point, second point, third point, the up to condensate. So all these were that process flow diagram, because major our emphasis is towards the energy calculations, energy consumption pattern. So accordingly we focus and we prepare that charts. Design operating data and schedule of operations, annual energy bill and energy consumption pattern. So this is very important, that as far as the calculations are concerned. So for that we refer the manual, logbook, as well as a nameplate of the different equipments. Now step 4 is actual conduct of the energy audit. So it comes under conduct, survey, and monitoring. Here actually measurement starts. So motor survey, insulation, lighting survey with portable instruments for operating data, confirm and compare operating data with the design data. So because industry means it consists of n number of the motors, so we take the survey of the motor, we ask them to give the inventory, because generally that store department has the data of number of the motors. So we segregate the motor on the basis of the horsepower, on the kilowatt, on the basis of the purchase, on the basis of the companies, and on the basis of the use of that motors. Then we think about the all these your insulations, what type of the insulations are there. Now we do the lighting surveys, what are the different types of the lighting fixtures are used, what are the different types of the fans are used. All this the items come under this or lighting, that all we do the survey of this, and then we go for the measurements, confirm and compare operating data with the design, because every in that motor or every equipment in appliances, they have the nameplate, and we always stick up with the nameplate data, the data which is published by the manufacturer, the original manufacturers, and we try to compare what is the output of that motor or the appliances. Now here just I would like to add something about the Mahavitra, that light bill or the tariff structure, which is very much essential to understand while doing the energy audit. So because major component of the energy audit is the electricity, and then other parameters. So initially we need to understand at what rate we are getting the electricity, what are the component of the your electricity bills, and how to read the electricity bill is also very important. And yesterday Sivrasu sir has briefed about the electricity bills, just so that I will hurriedly go, but just I will share what are the different categories which we need to understand as far as the energy audit of home, energy audit of the college, and energy audit of the industry, and what is the difference in the light, that is electricity bill tariff, or the how the categories are being done. No doubt all the component or the details of this your electricity tariff is same across India, but the rate tariffs are different as per that state policies. So here this is first one is the tariff LT1B LT residential. So this is very much essential whenever we want to do energy audit of our home, or wherever the for the residential, because again under LT residential there are different categories which come under the residential. Again there is a residential LT1A is also there, LT1AB, LT1C, like that different categories are there. So here the as per this your Mahavitran, so the consumption slab is given for the residential building. It is from 0 to 100 units. So the wheeling charges as well as the energy charges. So this energy charges as well as wheeling charges, that depends on the consumption of the electricity in terms of the kilowatt hour or the electric minute, and this is the fixed charges. So whether that residential consumer use that electricity or not, but these are 100 rupees for the single phase or 340 for the three phase. These are fixed charges, are fixed. In addition, that consumer has to pay additional charges for the usage of electricity as well as the wheeling charges. So these are wheeling charges are, this is specially these are levied to transmit electricity from the Genco to the up to the distribution company. So these charges are also 1 rupees and 40 paisa per electric minute, and these are the energy charges which are again that depends on the slab, 0 to 100, 101 to 300, 301 to 500. So like this, but always what happens as a consumer, always we think about the energy charges are maximum 7 rupees 43 paisa or minimum this is 3.46 paisa. But actually effect of this your charges when you go through this your electricity bill, they are entirely different. So one case study, I have taken one case study, because most of the middle class people, they are with a 3-room kitchen, that bungalow or the flat, they generally means their general consumption or the consumption is in between 140 to 160 70 electric unit per month. So now here I try to bring what would be the cost per electric unit for the 148 electric unit uh, kilowatt hour per month. So here energy charges as per that tariff, it is for 0 to 100, it is 3.46, this much 3 rupees 46 paisa up to 100, and here from 101 to 300 that rate are 7 rupees 43 paisa. So here it is as it is 148 as a case study. So for 100 unit it comes as a 346 rupees, and for 48 rupees it comes as a 356 rupees. Now wheeling charges are fixed for both the cases. So here it is 145, here it is 69.4. So total for, and fixed charges are 100, again tax is there. So total billed amount for month is 1180 rupees. So the charges effectively per electric unit, it is a 7 rupees 97 paisa. If you go on increase that consuming the electricity more, so this rate will go on increasing. Sometimes it may reach up to the 10 rupees per electric unit. So we need to understand the total electricity bill, the tariff structure, and then we can think about the energy conservation, and by that we'll get the effect on this your final electricity bill. Now this is another is non-residential or commercial. This tariff is applicable to all the commercial building. Now again that commercial, they are classified into three category. LD21A, that is from 0 to 20 kilowatt, B is from 20 to 50 kilowatt, and C is from the 50 above 50 kilowatt. Now here this minimum tariff starts from the 7 rupees 80 paisa, 18 paisa, In between it is 10 rupees 79 paisa, and this is a 12.90 paisa. So this much energy charges are for the commercial building. So there is a more scope of the energy conservation as well as in terms of monetary saving for the commercial building, as the tariff structure is higher as compared to the residential, and it happens because of the cross subsidy, because altogether required amount is being collected from this your commercial as well as industrial consumers, and it is being given subsidy to the residential consumers. Now here the fixed charges are 450 rupees. This is for all, and this is per month. It is actually here per initially it is 450 per month. Here it is 415 per kilowatt per month. Like this, all this are the different. Up to 0 to 20, they are only fixed charges, but from 20 onwards, there are 450 per kilowatt per month. It is like this. Now, in addition, there is an advantage of the time of day utilizations. Here, wisely, you can use the electricity that so that you can conserve the money as well as electricity. So this structure is common to all the types of the categories. So whenever you are using electricity from night 10 to morning 6, there is a rebate of 1 rupees 50 paisa. That means this much amount will get reduced from this energy charges. If you use between 6 to 9 and 12 to 6, there is no any change in the this tariff. But if you use morning 9 to 12, we need to pay additional 80 paisa against this. And if you use evening 6 to 10, we need to pay additional 1 rupees 10 paisa against this energy charges. So here very wisely we should use all the appliances or the equipment in the industry so that we can conserve the electricity. And here we can take the advantage of use of this pattern, that is from 10 to 6, where we'll get the rebate of 1 rupees 50 paisa, because there the need requirement of the electricity is less. Now for the industry, again, if you see the structure, it is entirely again different. Here the peak charges are 468 and energy charges are 5 rupees 01, and here it is a 5.93 if you go above 20, and this TOD structure is the same. Now for the electricity, earlier the power factor was main component in the billing as well as the incentive as well as the penalty for all the categories of the consumers. But now in the revised case, they have put the power factor, this benefit, penalty as well as incentive only for the LT consumers. It is for the LT consumers, and for the HT consumers, all the billing has come in the KVE. So this is the benefit for the power factor incentive as well as penalty. Now this is HT consumer, now group housing category, because some of the government colleges coming under this group housing society. So here the charges are, billing charges are less 0.70 paisa, and energy charges are fixed 5 rupees 70 paisa, and demand charges are this. Now similarly, this is another applications where this is specially for the industry, that is industry HT1A and HT2B. Seasonal means all the sugar kind of the industry come here, and these are the general industry. So here the electricity bill is 6 rupees 90 paisa, energy charges, fixed charges, this is 432, and TOD remains same. Now similarly for this your public cases. Now here just I would like to bring how the billing is done. These are some of the definitions given by this your Mahavitran. So very important is we need to understand the maximum demand. What is maximum demand? What is contract demand? What is the sanctioned load? And how it affects on the actually electricity bill while putting the calculating the electricity bill, how it matters a lot. So suppose this contract demand is, it is the mutual agreement between the distribution company as well as the consumer. Suppose consumer want that contract demand up to the 100 kVA. So this is 100 kVA is the agreement between the this distribution company as well as consumer, that is continuously that much is allocation to that that company or that consumer, so they can consume that electricity up to 100 kVA. But while calculating the 100 kVA, suppose in some cases if that the consumer consumes more than the 100 kVA, they will get additional penalty per kVA with this 450 rupees, that what 411 rupees like this. So it is whatever they are using above the contract demand, for that there is a additional penalty from the distribution company. That means they are not supposed to use more than the contract demand. In addition, other, and this is being calculated continuously, monitor with this your maximum demand. and maximum demand has a 30-minute cycle. So for the every 30 minutes throughout the month, that it is being recorded how much is the maximum demand it is being drawn by that consumer or by that industry. If suppose it is 100 and if it goes to the 110, so for the 110 about 10 kVA they will penalize with the double rate, that they will penalize with the double rate. So that is a fine to that industry. So in most of the industries they are putting the maximum demand, automatic controller of the maximum demand. So as per the logic, whenever the consumption goes near to this your the contract demand, automatically some of the appliances will made automatically off, and by that it will maintain at a particular temperature levels. In addition, this same calculation is being used to calculate the demand charges. Because what happens, suppose if it is 100 kVA is the contract demand, so that distribution company has to supply that electricity up to 100 kVA, but the while charging minimum they will charge from this your contract demand, and that rates are different for the LT consumer as well as the this H2 HT consumer. For the LT consumers it is around the 55% of this your contract demand, and for HT it is varying from year to year, that is 55%, 60%, that I will demonstrate with one of the electricity light bill. So this is for the LT as well as ST consumer. So for the LT consumer, so this is the monthly demand charges will be the 65% of the actual demand recorded or 40% of the contract demand. For example, in the earlier case, if suppose 100 kVA is the contract demand, and if that consumer has not used 10 kVA also for that particular month, in that case or particular cycle, in that case minimum that consumer has to pay the 40% of the contract demand. So this is the minimum agreement, that is minimum they have to pay as 40% or maximum is 65%, between two, whichever is higher, that consumer has or that industry has to pay to the distribution company. This is for the low tension. And for the high tension, so these are the different category under low tension as well as high tension. So here it is the 55% for the 2021. For 21-22 it is a 60% of this your contract demand. That much that consumer has to pay whether he has used or not used that electricity bill. But if the consumer use more than this your 60%, accordingly they have to pay. If they use more than the 100 kVA, that is contract demand, they have to give the pay the penalty to the distribution company. So now in addition, government of Maharashtra or from Mahavitran, there is a discount for or a rebate for the bulk consumption. If any HT consumer is using monthly electricity more than 1 lakh to 1 million, so they have given the slab, accordingly they will get the additional rebate in the electric unit or the tariff. That is, if they use more than 1 lakh to 1 million unit, accordingly it is given. So here one sample electricity bill is there. It is latest bill from the June itself. So in here for this your sanction load, it is 1200, connected load is also 1200, contract demand for this is 750 kVA. Now as per this your guideline, that is 60% of contract demand minimum they have to pay. So against this your 750, the minimum 60% is 450. That means that company for that particular month, whether they use this anything from the 750 or not, still they have to pay as a demand charges as 450 multiply by that rate whatever is specified for that particular category. Now here it is a HT, all the details are given. Now the calculation is done. Nowadays for all the HT consumer, kVH billing is there. Earlier it was a kWh, but nowadays it is a kVH. That means all the power factor, all the issues related to the power factor, that already comes here. If power factor earlier, because of the power factor, the penalty were there. Now here we can see the difference between kVAH as well as the kWh. How much is the difference? And this is the significance of the power factor. Now this is the demand, kW demand, kVA demand. So accordingly, now here for this your particular month, the demand was 525. So 525 multiplied by this 432. So these are the demand charges. Now billing charges are there, 0.56 multiplied by this, it will be billing charges. Now energy charges. Now energy charges as per the tariff 6 rupees 96 paisa multiplied by this electric units. So here that they have calculated the energy charges. TOD, they are getting benefit of this your TOD because at night that Sudgirni is working, spinning mill is working at night, so they are getting rebate for this. So that TOD charges 62,000. Electric duty is there. So electric duty is like this multiplied by a percentage. So this much is the electric duty. Bulk consumption rebate, because they are using more than 1 lakh, so they are getting rebate. So like this here, the billing is calculated. We need to understand the art of reading the electricity bills, and on the basis of the electricity bill also we can suggest them some energy conservation patterns or the steps for that particular company. Now next is step 5. Now actually in industry we have to take some readings, so that we need to decide whether we need to take reading for the 1 hour, 2 hour, or the 24 hours. Generally for all the during audits we take 24-hour readings to monitor the maximum demand, power factor, as well as kWh. This is at the start of this your supply, where the supply comes to that particular industry. There we put our power analyzer for the 24 hours, and we monitor all these things, all these three, in addition other parameters which we get from the power analyzer, that is for the continuous 24 hours. Now next is load variation trends in pumps as well fan compressor. So that also we monitor, we test with the help of the instrument. And generally the efficiency, boiler efficiency trials, we take trials for the minimum for the 4 years, or there is limit maximum up to you can take the 8 years. So this is about the readings. Now similarly for the furnace efficiency trials, we need to take the readings for the flue gas analysis of the your furnace, how much fuel is burned to the furnace, all the parameters that we need to take. Now equipment performance, the test, suppose for the compressor other, that we need to take the test of that all the utilities. Now step 6 is analysis of energy use. Now once we get all this your data, next we need to start for the actual working of this your energy audit data, analysis of the energy use. So here first we do the energy as well as the material balance. So how much is raw material comes, and what is the finished product, and what is the wastage, how much energy comes in terms of electricity, in terms of thermal, other energy, and what is end use and where it is being utilized. So that wastage and everything that we calculate, that is energy as well as material balance, and then we'll come to know how much is the loss or how much is the wastage, and that analysis we do with this your analysis step 6. Now step 7, that is identification and development of energy conservation opportunities, or ENCON opportunities. So here on the basis of the data we have done analysis, we did mass balance, material balance, energy balance, all the balance is being done, we did the analysis. And once after completion of the analysis, next stage is we need to conceive the idea, we need to develop, refine ideas, so that what can be done in order to conserve that energy, whether we need to modify that equipment or the system, or we need to recommend some energy efficient appliances or equipment for the system. So that we need to do. So for that we have to discuss with the unit personnel, their new views are also very important. So we need to discuss with the industry personnel, even that industry might have done some earlier that energy audit, so that we need to take the reference of that energy audit. Next is use brainstorming and value analysis techniques. So we need to discuss the issues at our group, as well as brainstorming has to be there, what can be done so that energy conservation would be there at a reasonable cost. Now next is we need to even contact to vendors, because continuously at the manufacturing stage new products are being done, if new efficiency technologies are being implemented, used to develop that product. So we need to be in touch with all these your vendors, those who are manufacturing, and on that basis we'll get some data, this component, this equipment is better than this, or this machine, accordingly we can suggest them. Now here this is what we did, the reading, we have taken reading for the tube light at one of the college. So this is the data, this is the report of the power analyzer. So here that tube light is, they call that tube light is of the 36 watt. Generally we always say that it is a 40 watt tube light, but that tube light is 36 watt. But actually that tube light give the reading output is or it is drawing 43 kilowatt. That means per hour it will consume the 43 watt. it will consume the 43 watt, but actually we know that that tube light is of the 36. We don't know the how much it is consuming, but whenever we measure the data, that gives the reading as a 43 watt. So there what we do, actually we do the analysis, we take the readings of that all the appliances. Then next is we go through the what are the different options available to replace that tube light. So for the tube lights here table is given. So this will give idea about the lumens per watt. This is the average for incandescent, that is per watt it gives lumens as a 14. For fluorescent it gives as a 50. For compact CFL it gives as 60, and for LED it gives as a 90. That means per watt this is the output. As if you compare, that is from incandescent it start at a 14, fluorescent it goes to the 50, CFL it goes to the 60, and LED it goes to the 90. That means output of the LED bulbs are very high in terms of the lumens as compared to all other this appliances. So here we recommend them to go for the LED. Again here typical applications are also given, as a life of the tube light is also given. So on that basis, we do the analysis, cost analysis as of this your product, payback analysis. So here for this, for example, for that particular university, they have total existing tube lights are of 908. Wattage which we measured was of 43. Total wattage of this comes to be a 39,044. Annual working hours 1800. Annual energy consumption of all this 908 tube lights comes to be a 70,000 electric unit. So we have recommended them to replace initially only 35%. So step by step we ask them to replace 35 like this, first year 35. So because of this replacement, we have recommended LED tube light of 318 for the 35, and wattage of LED tube light it is a 20 watt. So annual energy consumption for this your 20 watt tube lights with the 318 numbers for that particular 1800 works, that hours. So annual energy consumption comes to be 11,441. This is only for 318 tube lights. And annual power consumption as compared to this 43, it comes to be 13,157. This much electricity can be conserved if we replace 43 watt tube light to the 20. So the energy tariff is here 7 rupees 9 paisa. So monetary saving would be 1 lakh. Investment per LED here purposely we have taken higher side 699 considering the replacement. So the total investment would be a 2.22 and payback would be a just 2 years. So like that we can do the analysis. We can ask them to replace with energy efficient appliances with the star labeling, and we gave them the calculations what would be the payback. On that basis then they will decide what to do, whether to purchase immediately or what. And even for the same 9 watt that tube light or 9 watt LED bulb, if you go on the basis of the star labeling, this is what government, that BE has done, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. They have categorized all the manufacturers into the 5 category on the basis of their performance. Suppose the LED manufacturers will get a star 1 category whenever the lumens per watt would be 612 to, for this 9 watt LED bulb it would be 612 to 702. That is whenever it is in between the range 612 to 702, it will be labeled as a star 1. And if you go to the star 5, this number will go on up to 1080 to 1161. So this is for the 5 star. So for the same 9 watt bulb, LED bulb, for if it has a 5 star label, it will give this much lumens. So while purchasing also we need to take care about all these details labeled or pasted on that appliances. No doubt the cost will go on increasing for star 1 to star 5, but the output is better, far better than the star 1. So this care we need to take. Now similarly we have taken the readings for the fan also. So here for this particular university, the fan, generally what we say, the ceiling fan, the wattage is around 60, we say it has a 65. But here when we measure that ceiling fan wattage, it comes to be a 82 watt for that particular sample size. Or the generally while purchasing any university or college, they purchase in the lots of the same company, same size, 1200 mm fan. So it is a 82 watt fan. So now the fans are also available in the star level, that is star 1 to star 5. So these are the minimum service values. That means how much cubic meter of air per minute per watt it delivers. So these are the size of the fan, that is on the basis of the blade length 900. Most popular used size is 1200. So which gives the minimum air delivery, that is 210 meter cube per minute. And here the service value is the 4. So this is the 4, this is minimum service value is considered, and on the basis the star labeling is done for the ceiling fans. So this is for the 1200 star 1, the service value is between 4 to 4.5, and if you go to the star 5, that service value is more than 6. That means per watt this fan, the fan is having star 5 level, will give more meter cube per minute this much air as compared to the star 1 star 2. No doubt the cost, initial cost of the product will go on increasing, but output will be better. Even we have taken the readings for the fan speed, how much is the consumption for the non-star fan and 5-star fan. Even suppose this your 5-star fans run at a 3 speed, it will consume only 12 watt as compared to the 46 watt of the 3 speeds. Again, this pattern, consumption pattern may be different for the different manufacturers. So here on the star level for the fan, this service value is mentioned. When the service value is higher, that means that fan is better. Even for the 5-star also, there are different manufacturers having different service values. So it may be 6, 6.2, 6.3, 6.5. So on the basis of the service value that we need to purchase. So on the similar ground, we have done the calculations, we have submitted that payback analysis. Here also the existing fan in that university are 531, wattage is 82, usage we have taken approximately 8 hours, and working days 300. So here we have recommended them to replace 50%. So that comes to be 266. We have recommended them to replace this energy intensive fan to the energy efficient, the Gorilla fans manufactured by Atomberg, which is 28 watt. Annual energy consumption would be 70,842 for this 266. Annual power saving would be 34,409. Tariff is 7.9. Monetary saving is 2.72 lakh. Investment here again we have taken higher to the higher side, 3,200. Total investment is 8.50 and simple payback is 3.13. So like that we give them analysis of all this. We take the reading, we recommend them some energy efficient fan, and then we submit that payback analysis for the fan. Now next one is the cost benefit. Already we have done that cost benefit analysis. So this is the step 8, that is the cost benefit analysis. So purpose, this is assess technical feasibility, economical viability. There are some products which are technically feasible but they are not economically viable. As far as the management is concerned, always they will focus towards the economic viability and prioritization of the energy conservation options and implementation. Select the most promising project, that is very important, and prioritize by low, medium and long term measures. Now step 9 is reporting and presentation to the top management. Here we prepare the draft report and that we used to present in front of the management, and as per their suggestions we do the this modification, and finally we submit the final report to the manufacturers. So this is another example. While doing the energy audit, we use the thermal image, or this is the thermography. So the novelty of this your instrument is here, this is the thermal image and this is the real image. So if you go to the industry, this is the figure that is from the sugar factory. If you go to the sugar factory at this your particular location, here you don't observe that whether how much temperature or the heat is being radiated, that you can feel that heat which is coming out of this your hot, all this your pipeline in here, but you can't measure the directly temperature. So instead of that, we have taken the thermal image, and on the basis of this your thermal image, thermal as well as real image, now we can calculate how much heat is being lost because of the radiation. So that calculations are being done here. We take the measurement of all the pipe diameter, whether insulation is there, not there. On that basis, we do all this your calculation and we submit to them. So by that also they can conserve huge amount of electricity in the bigger applications. So this is another example of the submersible pump, bore well submersible pump. So here this your submersible pump, this your wattage, it consumes around 11.29 kilowatt for that your particular application. And here the bore well, it is that from where they lift the water is, it is around 6 kilometers from the college campus. So they have two pumps of 10 HP, 10 HP actually, and they draw this much electricity, 10.29 kilowatt, and another consumes 8.447 kilowatt. Both pumps are there. One is old, other one is new, and both are used working for the 12 hours. So one is consuming 11.29, another is consuming 8.447. So on that basis, we are recommended to replace. So we have recommended actually so many more number of this pumps, but I will share these two case studies. So number one is here rated output is 10. Here rated output is 7.5 kilowatt. 10 kilowatt, 7.5 kilowatt. So here power actually it consumes or it draws as 11.29. Here it draws 8.447. Head for both are 15 meters. Head is there. Now proposed power, we have done the computer simulation with available software with the Grundfos, and for this or particular applications that head as well as discharge, this 4 kilowatt pump is suitable for this particular applications. So here head is 15 meters. Flow LPH it is required is 45,000 for both the cases. Both are working for the 12 hours. So flow is like this. Now estimated power saving for this as well as this, here it is 7.29 kilowatt hour, and here it is 4.47 kilowatt hour. So annual working hours are 3,500. Annual power saving for this is 25,000 because it is consuming more, and here it is 15,000. Energy tariff is fixed. So estimated monetary saving, here it is 2 lakh, here it is 1.22 lakh. Pump cost in both are the same, 1,73,000, and some initial installation cost. So here payback is below 1 year and it is 1.5 years. So like that we do the analysis, we take actually measurement, we study that pump, we recommend them substitute energy efficient pump for that particular application. We suggest them the payback period, calculate payback period, and suggest them to replace, so that once this amount get recovered after 1 year or after 1.5 year, next onwards, that is a recurring benefit. This much saving every year, they are getting that much saving out of these two pumps. Now this is next is step 10, that is implementation of energy conservation measures recommendation. This is implementation is very important. For that action plan has to be prepared and accordingly follow-up has to be taken. Monitoring and periodic review, that is as energy auditor we need to monitor and take the periodic review. Now once these are the 10 steps to do energy audit, these are the guidelines. Now as per the industry, we need to modify, we need to change these steps, that is steps here and there, and accordingly we need to do the audit. So for every after completion of audit, we used to submit, this is we call it as an executive summary. So this is detailed energy audit case study of college. So first is energy audit options at a glance and a recommendation. So for that particular university, we have suggested like this. So we always present in this form. This is a highlight and this is impact of proposed energy conservation measures. So here it is total annual saving. If they implement as per our recommendation would be 33 lakhs point 37. Total investment we have recommended is 83 lakh point 65. So payback period is 2.51. Now electricity that drawn from the MSEDCL, it is 8.46 electric units, lakhs of electric unit. Electricity generated by the generator is very small, and annual electricity consumption in terms of electric units, it is 8.50 lakhs. Annual electricity cost is 94 lakhs, and diesel all together it comes as a 94 lakhs. This is the yearly electricity consumption of that your particular university. As per our recommendation, if they replace all this your energy intensive to the energy efficient, so the saving would be in terms of electricity, it would be a 3.81 lakhs of electric unit per annum. It is around 45%, and cost reduction would be a 33%. So like that we submit the report, we present this in the format highlight as well as impact, and details are given like this. So I will not go through these details. So these details are given, and how we arrive to the 33.37 it is given. Now the B has given the standard format, how the report should be there. So the details are given. So table of content, acknowledgement, team, executive summary. That is what I shared, that energy audit options at a glance and the recommendation. Introduction about the plan. All the details about the plan has to be there, so that whenever that report comes to any third party, so that third party should understand what is in that industry, what are the types of the production, major energy use, everything that we should cover under this one report, and all the details should be there in the report. Detailed of process flow diagram should be there. Energy efficiency in utility and process system, that specific energy consumption, efficiency assessment, all the calculations should be there in the report. And finally, energy conservation options and recommendation, and at end annexure, list of instruments, list of vendors, and other technical report. Now here I would like to show energy audit for our small residential bungalows or the flats. Generally we use electricity, tube light, fan, refrigerator, air cooler, air conditioner. These are the different appliances we use at a residential. And for the heating, cooking, water heating and ironing, we need a thermal or heat for this application, and major we need the electricity for this. So here I have taken 2-bed kitchen hall. This is one sample building plan for the energy audit calculations. So it consists of the 2 bedroom, hall and kitchen. So suppose there are total 4 fans, 4 tube lights, and AC we have considered but not taken for the calculations. So with this simple, suppose in that particular bungalow, that is tube light, fluorescent tube lights of 40 watt, 4 numbers are there, and approximately usage is 6 hours, total AC power, and how much is per day electricity consumption for this your FT tube light, it is 960 watt hours. So fan of 200 mm with 65, approximately this I have considered. Total 3 number we have considered, we have not considered for the kitchen. Daily usage is 10 hours, total AC power and total energy consumption per day, it is a 1950. TV 32 watt, so this is suppose 50, and this is a 300 watt hour, 0.3 kilowatt hour, and refrigerator. So all together, so to estimated monthly energy consumption in kilowatt hour is comes to be around 148. So generally electricity consumption for the common, that is all middle class, it comes from the 140 to 160, 70, max up to 200, where they are not using the air conditioner. Without air conditioner, this is the consumption pattern. Suppose it is a 148. Now here if we replace these tube lights, fan with the energy efficient appliances, the rest is same, usage same, number of the appliances same. We have changed only with the energy efficient appliances. So suppose if it is 18 watt, fan is 28 watt, and TV is up 32 watt. So it comes to be a monthly, it is a 61.77. Earlier it was a 148, so it comes to be a 61.77. So per year, the yearly saving consumption would be 1000 kilowatt hour. So this is what we can do at energy audit at home. We can verify all these your appliances. If they are energy intensive, old, without other than LED, then we should purchase with LED. Even while purchasing LED, we should go for the higher stars for the fan, tube light, refrigerator, air conditioners. That need to be done. Thank you. Khade sir.
Is there any question from audience? Participants can ask questions. You can also post question in chat box.
That would be better, yeah.
Thank you, sir, Dr. Sanjay Kot. It is actually excellent presentation. You went to the nitty-gritties and with all case studies, it is very absorbing, informative, illuminative, and you have gone in the details, including the residential flat.
Right.
It is very informative, exciting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we explain about the star labeling?
Any question? Huh?
For star labeling, so how you can utilize that star labeling of equipment?
Actually, star labeling is done by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Minimum standard they have put for all the appliances. That means henceforth no manufacturer can manufacture the particular electric appliances with that particular electricity usage. That is minimum bar is put for that. Suppose they want to produce the electric fan or the tube light. Minimum they should consume this much, that as an input, and that is the base for the star one. And as that particular company go on improving the product, so total that bandwidth between minimum to maximum is divided between the 5. So minimum 1 is 1, maximum is 2, 5. And every year they are going to enhance this your star labeling. Every year that next time what would happen, suppose star 5 is there for the 2021. During 2022-23, that star 5 would be star 3, and star 1 will be out of this total plan. So otherwise, even with some cases are there. Means whenever you want to purchase any electric appliances, better to go with the higher star labels. When star label is higher, even for the air conditioner, ISER, they have brought Indian Seasonal Energy Efficient Ratio, ISEER. So if ISER is higher, then you should purchase. Even for the particular star suppose star 3, again one bandwidth is given for the star 3 from the 1 to minimum to maximum. So even while purchasing, we should go for the higher side for the star labeling. So here one example is given. Star 1, suppose LED 9 watt it is there. For the star 1, if that output is between 612 to 702, it will be treated as 1. But some manufacturer will manufacture with 612, they will get also star. Some will manufacture with 702, also will get star 1. So here while purchasing also we need to consider the higher side. Even for here also for the fan. Nowadays most of the market the fans are available with the 5-star. But some 5-star fans are having 6 service value. Some are having 6.2, some are having 6.5. So accordingly that we need to consider. So this star labeling will give us a guarantee of energy efficient appliances. So once the star labels are there, we did not bother about their electricity consumption. That is the best product among all other. Okay, sir.
Is there any question?
Professor, your case studies on pumps and other industry equipments is excellent and very deeply discussed. Thank you, Professor.
Yes, thank you, sir.
If you have any query, you can ask also on WhatsApp group. We can share with our sir, and they will give a proper answer for it. Shall we conclude, sir?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for nicely elaborating need of energy conservation and different steps of energy audit methodology. Sir, explain all billing parameters in electricity bill useful for the energy audit. Also, he discussed case studies in energy audit of commercial building, government building, and sugar industry, also in a residential building. Once again, I thank for sharing his knowledge and experience with our participants. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So tomorrow's session will start at 10 a.m. We also upload feedback links for day 1 and day 2 sessions. You can fill that particular feedback link.
Thank you, Iyer sir, Mallikarjun sir, Ashok Seturaman sir, Jay sir.
Very informative, sir.